And when you hear that intro music, you know it's time for soup. How you doing, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Watch Soup, episode 14, I believe. I'm here with my co-host Sanjay. We gave Clayton the night off. We gave Sanjay the night off last week. Clayton the night off this week, and but the soup is still being served.
Yeah,
I don't know how many more soup references I got. Hey, Sanjay, how you doing, man?
good, good. Had a good weekend. I got lots of rest, so looking forward to the
Yeah,
week ahead. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So, before we came on, you said that you had a trip planned to the AD yesterday. Didn't
I
quite work
did.
out. But you wanna give us a little insight what may have happened or would have happened if you'd made it, or
Well, I wasn't 100% sure. I was gonna go just to see stuff,
yeah,
But one watch in particular would have been in the trunk, the SBGN 029, the 9F GMT.
yeah, yeah,
I don't know if you saw a couple of the pictures I posted, but
yeah,
it's got a couple of imperfections,
yeah.
12 of them, 12 very very nice imperfections. But
Okay.
Paul said it's kind of like the pebbles sticking out of the water, and it's causing ripples on the dial, and it's all intentional.
Oh, all right. Well, that's a positive way to look at it, Paul. Thank you for that. That's really I like that. I like that.
Yeah, yeah, me too.
Hey, what do you well, wait, okay, so I'm sorry. I didn't mean to jump off of it, but like
Oh no,
is there something that you're interested in or
no,
you're
not
just
really.
seeing Okay, okay.
Absolutely nothing. Which is why I probably would have kept it even if I did go to the AD, because I
Yeah.
still really like the watch. I've only
Yeah.
had it for 4 weeks, so
Okay, yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Right. You don't want to be too hasty with your decision making.
yeah, yeah,
Which maybe is alluding to one of the videos that we're talking about some mistakes. We're gonna get to that.
yeah, yeah.
Hey, what do you have on wrist?
On my wrist today is Black Bay 54.
Oh, and I like that. Is that a sailcloth strap?
Yeah, it's the Artem sailcloth.
Yeah,
So
yeah, looks good. Looks good on that.
I think
Um,
I like it better than on the rubber with the end links.
oh,
Uh,
okay. Yeah, 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 for sure,
Yeah,
for sure. I when I had the Black Bay 58, I stuck it on an Arnhem strap, and although the strap was stiff, probably needed some time to work it. But it looked good. It looked
yeah.
good. Um, I really liked my Black Bay 58 on a brown leather strap. I think
Yes.
it just really looked so chocolatey. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? It looked
yeah,
so yummy, on
yeah,
that on that strap.
yeah,
Sorry again, didn't mean to get too creepy, but you know what I mean. It's just like it has that rich feeling,
yeah.
and
And it's a
it just reminded me.
vintage style diver, right? So
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
I
I
think
mean,
it
but it's
works.
not even. I mean, I've had this discussion many times with people. It's not really a diver. It's a. I mean, yes, it has 200-meter water resistance and a diving bezel, but it's really just it's a dressy diver. It's really just meant to be worn, you know, above the water,
Yeah.
as opposed to below the water.
Or while you're detailing vehicles.
Or what you need. It's probably perfect for that.
It is, it is. And I
Uh,
haven't worn my, Planet Ocean in a month and a half now, which is, yeah, which is kinda scary. I'm gonna make myself wear it tomorrow, so
yeah. Yeah, it's good to push through it and make sure you wear some of these pieces, right? Because I mean, you got
yeah,
some great watches, man.
yeah.
So I got the G Steel. I just I
Oh,
was
nice.
hankering for a G Shock, and I like these G Steels, and it's on this rubber strap, and it's really good and comfortable. It's just easy, affordable,
Yeah.
kind of fix, because I'm kind of you know
It looks
not
it looks
really.
more expensive than
Mm,
you'd think.
oh yeah, yeah, for sure, especially on the bracelet.
Yeah,
Um, but I've had this watch on the bracelet, the DLC coded version. I don't know if it's DLC, I forget, or whatever they call it.
yeah,
And yeah, I had that on bracelet, and it was good. But I get these and I sell them. I get these and I sell them. But it's just a fun little watch to have, and it's just
yeah.
a quick fix, especially since the watch budget is not there as it has been in the last couple of years. Um,
Right.
so It is what it is.
Yeah,
Anyway,
alluding
let's
to a future video we might be talking about.
maybe a little. Well, I mean, not the same circumstances, but for
Right.
different reasons.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, you could. I mean, theoretically, I could say, use that as an excuse for sure.
yeah,
Um, anyway, let's say hello to chat real quick, and then we'll
yeah.
jump into our first video this evening.
Sounds
Hey,
good.
Mr. Cassioc is here. How you doing? Watch Chris from the Watch Sound. What's going on? Preparing his shrimp for some Bang Bang shrimp tomorrow. Wearing the
Nice.
PRX. Very nice. PRX is a fun watch, for sure. Have you had any time with a PRX?
Only
Sam?
at ADs, nothing extensive, but
Yeah.
it's I like the 35. That works for my wrist. The
Mhm.
regular 40 is too big, like with the end links
Right.
flaring out.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I get that. Scott's saying I put an OEM textile strap on my 556 and it's renewed my love for the watch. Yeah,
Nice.
it's a great watch, Scott. Hey,
Yeah.
Bruno's here. Steve is here. How you doing, Steve? Pale Horse is here. James is here. Wilson's here. BJ, Walt, how you doing? Chaz, let's go. Chiller in the sand. Greetings, everyone. How you doing? Cheers. Wearing his Speedy on an orange strap. Sean is here. How you doing, Sean? Good to see you. Yo, Hobby Bobby. Good to see you, buddy. Pale Horse, Thomas Burnett. What is up? Um, Rob, hello. What's going on? Big wrist. My answer: the watches are not assets. It goes up tomorrow. So are you putting up a video, Big wrist? Let us know.
Nice.
Caliber BB54 looks great. Great watch. KR Joy is here. Kevin S. What is up? Number one ball buster in the body leg stream, Kevin S. Paul is here.
Yeah.
How you doing, Paul? Good to see you. Hey, okay, so let's jump into the videos.
Yeah.
We're gonna start off with Paul Pluta. Now I know Archie or Paul, a very, very divisive content creator in the watch space. You either love him or you hate him. He came out with a video for watch collecting news. Higher interest rates will kill the mega watch collectors. And I got to say something about Archie. When it comes to this kind of the economics of watch collecting and whatnot, I don't know if he's right all the time, but he does have some good opinions.
Mhm.
And so when I see these kind of videos from him, um, I I pay attention, right? Because I'd like to hear what his take is. I also like the fact that since he is in Australia, I like to hear what economically what his take is based on some of the factors and the ground on his end. And so in this video, he talks about how interest rates will kill watch. I mean, he goes back and forth actually in a sense that and I don't think he means to philosophically he goes back and forth. He says that it will kill it. He says it doesn't kill it. At the end of the day, he says it's going to kill the mega collector. But let's go back a little bit and see how he get there. He talks about how in comparison with himself, he has got a $200,000 mortgage at a 2% interest rate until next year, and that interest rate will go to whatever is variable, and that's pushing in Australia. I'm gonna go what his numbers are. They're probably fairly similar to what we have here, but I'm going to go with what he is saying, a 7% next year. So the carrying cost for his loan this year is like $4,000. That's the number he's using. Next year at 7%, I mean, it's going to be like $14,000. So he applies that logic with some of the watch collecting, how like people may have in the last couple of years gotten a $200,000 watch collection and may have only cost them $4,000 to carry it year over year. But with the interest rates going up, now you're seeing that it's going to go $10,000 to $14,000 to carry those watches, and it may not seem to be such a great idea. You may see people selling off some pieces. He's also saying that if you have a watch, right, you may not be happy. Really, I'm paraphrasing what you might get for when you go to the AD and try to liquidate and get some cash. And he
Mhm.
uses the bluesy as an example. It's not it is a desirable piece, but maybe not as desirable as a GMT or a Daytona. So you may not, from his experience or from his dealings lately, get your money back per se, right? And this is Australia. He's talking about being in Australia. Well, he
Mhm.
doesn't. We're assuming that he's just using whatever his experience is in Australia, right? It may be different over here, but you may be disappointed where in the last couple of years you may have at least gotten your money back or a little bit more, especially with these Rolex steel sports models, right? So it's just an interesting topic. I'm very very interested in it, especially lately with some of the videos that are out there, especially with a video last week that we did, Paul Thorpe and investing in Rolex and that whole concept. And yeah, I mean, it does give you some pause. Now, we alluded to this in the intro, where my budget for watches is not what it used to be, and and it's not because I'm worried about whatever carrying cost it is to own these pieces, right? If I'm not buying them straight with straight cash, but it's more so like there's other things happening in life, right? I got
Mhm.
school to pay for with the kids. We have of course a mortgage. We're trying to do some repairs in the house, and I shifted my thought process where I was kind of more liberal with purchasing watches, now feeling more and more of the responsibility now that my family is maturing and evolving, that I feel a responsibility to put my money in a different place as opposed to watches. Doesn't mean that I don't love watches. It just means that I probably can't get the kind of watches that I want to get.
Mhm.
Um, Blind, or like easily, or not easily, but at any kind of whim. So anyway, what did you think about the video? Do you find any kind of like alignment here in your thinking with that, or does the economics not um interest you, or does it?
Oh, no, economics really interests me. I've been actually really getting into finances, personal finance, and,
Yeah.
things like that. Basically learning more and more about it. So, it's interesting to hear Paul Pluta, Archer
Mm,
Luxury, talk about this. Um, I thought it was a very well put video, you know? I
mm,
was kind of, when I saw you post the link, I was kind of, bracing myself for impact.
yeah, right.
But it was a very well put together video, very, sober
Hmm.
and, not, overly emotional or anything like that. And I think a lot of what he says makes sense. I and you can probably extrapolate that to across the board, right? Maybe, um, I don't know, maybe the super collector, what would that be like? He mentioned 5, 6 Rolex, guy
Oh
would be
yeah,
like
somebody
a
with like
mid.
50 or more watches, or somebody who had like 5 or 6 Rolex, maybe selling a couple, realizing that he doesn't need five or 4 or 5 Rolexes, only needs like
Yeah.
one or two. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and the 50 Rolex collector would probably go into 30 or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, it makes sense, right? Interest rates. One interesting thing I've noticed is in the US, I might be wrong here, but in the US, when you take out a mortgage, like, it's for the entire term, right?
Mm,
So, like, a 30-year mortgage is 2% for 30 years, right?
mhm,
Um, I'm not very well versed in this, but in Canada, and I'm guessing in Australia too, you mortgage and the mortgage renews every 5 or so years, so the interest rates
mm,
reset. So
hmm.
you don't get to hold that interest rate, like, the
Wow,
most you get to hold
interesting.
it for is 5 years. So, like, we locked in our mortgage at a really good time, and now in a couple of years, we're gonna feel some heat when it goes up to
Oh,
from 1.5%, I think is what we have right
okay.
now, jumping up to, like, 7 or 8 or who knows what it'll be in 2 years, 13, 14. So it's gonna really hurt,
Wow.
depending
So
on.
that's interesting. I mean, like that's a whole there's a whole lot of risk involved with that, right? I mean, like,
Yeah.
is that so if you put down, does it matter how much you put down on your house, like 20% or 0% or 50%? Does the rate,
Ye
this
Yeah, your rate goes down, I think the more you put down,
yeah.
but not, I mean, your credit worthiness, um,
Mm,
comes into account as well, right? Your credit score, stuff like that. You can negotiate with the bank, so, like,
yeah.
there'll be a one-on-one meeting, and you'll be negotiating your interest rate. I don't know how far this extends out.
Yeah.
Um,
See,
uh,
Pete's saying in Australia, a vast majority of mortgages are variable. Fixed rates
okay.
are pretty rare. See, that would make me really, really nervous because, like, if you have a certain rate, you're basing your whole budget on
Mhm.
that rate. So like other things that you're paying for, maybe you're leasing a car or financing a car, or maybe you're paying for school for your kids,
Yeah.
and then in 5 years that can completely change. That throws everything out of whack. It seems like
Yeah.
it's very, very unpredictable and nerve wracking
Yeah,
to
kinda.
do that.
Like, you get those, like, inside edition style news articles, right, that come out, where they go to an example person whose mortgage monthly payment went up by $1,000 just because it was at 1.5% and it jumped up to, like, 8%. And based on what their remaining principal is, um, the debt that they owe to the bank, it can really just skyrocket your monthly payment.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Adjustable rate mortgage. Yeah, I mean we have those. We definitely have those in the States, but I mean, like, I would never, I would never go that route. I mean,
yeah,
because you just never know. Like in now, look, I mean, like in the States, like with adjustable rates, right? If you have something locked in for a few years, and then like on the fifth year, let's say, or seventh year, your rates adjust, you have the option to. You always have the option to refinance, right below, so
yeah,
so you can refinance a new rate
yeah,
with that. But I don't like messing with that, and that's really proved, like Rob saying, it was a bad, bad. A lot of bad things happened in the United States in 2008, 2007, 2008 because of that.
yeah.
Um,
I
interesting.
don't I
Wow.
don't know, to be clear, I don't know if there's a way to lock it in for the full 30 years. I don't
Mhm.
believe there is a way to do that in Canada, maybe there is, but, yeah, for our history of owning our house, it's been we kinda locked in for 5 years, a stretch. So,
I'm trying to figure out like for the homeowner, like what's the positive and what's the plus side? Like look, so like when we have our fixed rate mortgages, in the beginning, it's heavily you're paying interest, right? You're paying very
yeah.
little to principal, and it adjusts itself in time. It goes like, this, right? Um, are your payments mostly going to principal at least? Um, or is it front loaded with interest rates?
No, I'm
Because then
pretty
at that point, like you never pay off your house. Like if it's gonna adjust, you know what I mean? That's just bananas.
Yeah. I don't know if it's, time related, but I'm pretty sure most of our, payments are going towards the principal. Where we had the option to add, like, an extra payment
Mhm.
into our mortgage payments that will go
Yeah.
entirely to principal.
Yeah, yeah.
So we've been
Yeah,
doing
I mean,
that.
like when I pay my mortgage every month, like when I go online and pay it, I don't have it taken out of my account. I go in there, I make sure every month I pay it myself,
Yeah,
because it does offer me to allow me to pay a little bit more for principal if I wanted to. Like there's like an
right.
extra input box, or pay more to the escrow because they do take money out of my payment for my property taxes and my house insurance. The bank
Mhm,
does, right? Because they want to make sure those are paid, because if those aren't paid, well, the tax lien goes on the property, and that
mhm,
they get, whoever buys the tax lien, gets first dibs over the bank. Anyway, but so we're allowed to do that too. We can pay more towards principal. We can do that at any time in a
right.
mortgage, as long as it's within the contract. Most mortgages, they allow you to prepay
Yeah.
or pay off. But wow, I mean,
I'm
that
pretty
that's crazy.
sure I'm pretty sure we can't, like, unless if you do it within those, intervals where your mortgage expires, um if you can't really make additional payments unless if you put that into that mortgage agreement.
Mm.
Um, so it's like a
Oh,
closed
so you can't just
loan.
do it willy nilly. You have to
Yeah.
like,
I
wow.
I mean, I should again, to be clear, I'm not well versed in this stuff, but
No, no, it's totally fine. No, we get it. We get it. It's good. But I mean, like, it's just interesting. I mean, I know we kind of got sidetracked here from talking about
y
watches, but
yeah,
it's just very, very interesting.
it is, it is.
Mr. GMT says hello. Go ahead. Go ahead, Sanjay.
Oh, yeah, I was just saying, so, from what he's saying, it's something I've been thinking about too, like preparing for the next, round, like the next,
Mm,
mortgage,
mm.
right? The
Okay. Yeah.
renewal. I'm thinking, man, I'm not gonna have as much to put towards watches. So
Mhm.
chances are good what he's talking about is gonna happen to me. Right? So,
Yeah.
either I'm gonna
Interesting.
put the brakes or I'm actually gonna have to sell one or two or see
Yeah.
what happens, right? But
Wow.
yeah.
Kevin, it sounds riskier than collecting Grand Seiko. Jeez. Big Risk says, I used to sell mortgages. Variable rates were common years ago, not so much now, but refi and people sell are every 5 years on average in US, so it works out similarly.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, Arms aren't necessarily a bad thing. If you play the market properly, you can come out ahead. Yeah, no, absolutely, Joey. But I mean, you do have to be savvy to do that. And I think, like, and I think I'm pretty sure you would agree to this. Like, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, people were just getting into these and just not realizing and not knowing. And well, they were probably shouldn't have gotten loans in the first place anyway. They probably didn't qualify 100% finance, over 100% financing. Just insane. Okay. Is it is this a watch out? Yeah, sorry, Dave. Yeah. Relax. Right, Dave. I mean, your boy Detroit Sun is telling you to relax, Dave. So just take it easy. Yep, we can't all be international playboys for sure. I think Archie's wrong. If you've got more than one Rolex, are you really a collector? Yeah, right. I say we move on to Sanjay's car payment.
Don't care about.
Oh man. I wasn't Rob saying I wasn't well versed in mortgages until I signed a debt for 500,000. Then I learned, yeah, right. The lower your rate, the higher the percentage of your payment goes towards principal. Okay, so maybe that's the case, like where in Canada, because
Yeah.
1.5% interest rate. That's pretty darn good. I mean, like,
That's really good. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, like, I don't know anybody here in the States has gotten it low. I mean, I think as low as I've heard is like mid twos, and it's all timing, right? It's all timing.
Right.
Like when we refi, we refied at the time, which was the lowest, but then it still went lower, but we were still close to the lowest you can go. So yeah, it's all timing on that one.
Yeah.
Detroit saying, are we sure Sanjay's not back on the mushrooms?
Yeah.
Where's Colin when you need him? Can we talk about car insurance tax? Let's talk about credit default swaps. Okay. The Big Short. Is it better to buy or lease a car? Okay. I'm at 2.25. Hard to beat that. Yeah, absolutely. That's hard to beat. Yes. Scott saying it's crazy. The average car payment is like $720 in the United States. It's crazy how much people spend on cars. I cannot tell you how much not having a car has helped me financially for sure. Joey B saying it worked for me when I got an arm in 2005 and it started adjusting in 2012. My rate went from 5.5% to 2.5%. When rates are higher, arms make more sense. Okay, fair enough. How can I finance a Lamborghini? A Lamborghini. Okay. Well, anyway, a good talk.
Yeah.
Good talk. And Archie's or Paul's video did exactly what we were hoping. Spark an interesting conversation. Can you lease a watch? Says Pepe. These nuts.
You sure can, can't you? Like, wasn't there a
Yeah.
Breitling program?
Right. That's it. The program.
And
Okay.
and most people lease their phones now. So
Oh yeah, that's true.
yeah.
That's true.
Bring it
I
back.
never got. What was that?
Like in Canada, it's like the bring it back, bring your phone back at the end of your
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. People. I try not to do that.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I have an issue with leasing phones. I don't know what it is. I'm sure it makes sense for somebody. I still haven't wrapped my head around that. But let's move on. Let's
Yeah.
move on
Let's
for
move.
sure. Let's go to our second video here, and that is the Mad Watch Collector. I think this is the first time we've showcased him in this iteration for sure, and even in the last iteration. I'm not sure if we ever did any of Russell's videos, but he did a video this week. I've made some big mistakes. Sanjay, this was your pick. Tell us about it.
Yeah, it was an interesting video, kind of an insight into Russell's mind, the turbulent waters that are in there. But he had some good advice. Some that no, you know what? I think I agree with most of them, but I'm gonna rattle through them real quick. He said a couple of things that a new collector should do is to buy the watches that you actually want. I feel like he repeated that in a couple of different ways as the
Mhm.
list went on. The second one was really good. He said, slow down. have one or two
Yeah.
watches for the same for some period of time, and he gave two examples: the Hamilton Khaki Field mechanical and Seagull 1963. I'm not sure what you think about that one, but what do you think of the Seagull 1963? Have you owned one?
No, I've had, so there's like several of them that look like each other, but they're different. Like there's Sugress and then
Right.
Seagull. So I think actually James Duffy on the chat, he sent me one. I think it was a Sugress one, maybe, or but whatever it was a Seagull 1963, or um that manual chronograph movement on it. I
Yeah.
think I think they're very pretty to look at,
Yeah.
right? But those watches just they feel like kind of like how Baltic feels with me. It just doesn't
Mhm.
feel solid.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? And so I don't know how that watch performs long term.
Yeah.
Okay. Um I for some reason have this impression that it probably doesn't handle long term use that well. I don't know. But I never had one, so that's just the feeling that I get from it. Um, Again, I like the way the movement looks. I mean, it's hard not to not like it, especially at $200 or whatever you can get them for.
Yeah.
But I think it's one of those things where, like, you get into the hobby, the pundits shove it down your throat and says you got to get this watch, and then it's one of those things where you get the watch, and then after a while you get rid of it. I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you think about it?
Well, I would say a hard pass on the
Yeah, a hard
1963.
pass now for me for sure. But I mean, I
Yeah.
think like when in the beginning of your collecting, you know what I mean. Like it's interesting.
Yeah, yeah, but I feel like it kind of defeats his point,
Mhm.
in getting something that you'll keep for a long period of time. I feel like that
Mhm.
would be a watch that you'd get rid of,
Yeah.
um, because you desire something a bit more robust or
Mm.
something, I don't know. I mean, it is hard to argue at that $200 price point, but, um, yeah, yeah, I would say buy something else, and that could be just a watch you get as a fun watch, to
Mhm.
throw around, see what all the fuss is about, kind of when you're settled on your collection, which not a lot of us are, but but
Yeah.
when you kind of come to a good point in your collection, you can be like, let me go see what that 1963 is all about.
Yeah. Yeah.
At that point, you might think, I'd rather have a Longines chronograph or something, but
Yeah,
uh,
yeah. This seems to be part like right. I mean, this is the mistake. The seagull's the mistake. It's
yeah,
not like it's not something like try it out. You might keep this forever. You know what I mean? Like
right,
it is the yeah, yeah, for sure.
yeah. But yeah, an alternative, I would think it's hard not to recommend a Seiko dive watch,
Mhm.
or just for a couple $100 more, um, or a nice Citizen Eco
Mhm.
Drive.
Mhm.
I would recommend one of those, because then you'd have a mechanical watch and a
Mhm.
really nice quartz watch.
Yeah.
So if you're into quartz as a collector, I would think a nice Citizen Eco Drive can come in a very nice dress watch if you're feeling that, or a dive watch. So.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Oh, SoCal Watch Reviews. Hey, what's up, guys? How you doing, man?
Hey, Miguel.
See ya.
Good to see you. Um, so the third point he was talking about was don't check off boxes, which I think is a great piece of advice. He didn't say it in those terms, but he said don't try to get a dress watch if you don't wear dress watches, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's just a waste of time and money, and you're going to get rid of it, and it's just not profitable,
Yeah.
not something that.
I got so caught up for a long time on checking off boxes.
Yeah,
And
yeah, me
and
too.
at the end of the day, I realized like like getting the dress watch, right?
Yeah,
Getting the chrono, the diver, you know what I mean, and having to have those, and that's where I get in trouble, right? That's
yeah,
where I get in trouble when I start checking off boxes, and then like I mean, I've had some really nice dressy pieces, and they just didn't stay, for various reasons, but they have at the end of the day, they haven't stayed in the collection. Why? Because I don't go anywhere. You know what I mean? I don't go into an office to work. You know what I mean? Like I go to a wedding once a year. You
Yeah.
know, I'm not going into any boardrooms. You know what I mean? Like, so,
Yeah.
um, some good advice for sure on that point.
Yeah. Sean Holloway actually recommended the Orient Kamasu for $200. Oh, such a
Mm,
great recommendation, Sean. There you go. Get the Orient Kamasu. Don't get the 1963.
yeah,
But yeah, yeah. I too have like the problem of checking off boxes. I still do it. I still look at my collection every once in a while and say, you know, I don't have a green watch anymore. I love green.
yeah,
Why
yeah.
don't I have a green watch? And then I try to like scramble to get some kind of green watch, and then I had to pump the brakes
Mhm.
and be like, whoa, you know, hey, you're just gonna buy something you're gonna sell. I mean, I'm not gonna get into that.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So fourth one, he said avoid hype watches, buy timeless watches. I don't know what you think about that one. I disagree. I think I know he mentioned you could buy something quirky and fun every once in a while, um, but as a primary rule, keeping timeless watches, I personally wouldn't agree with that because even if you do buy something timeless, I think style is cyclical, and if you do buy one of these maybe Genta inspired watches or stainless steel integrated bracelet sports watches, it's gonna come back. You're gonna enjoy
yeah,
it now, and chances are good if you really like the watch, you're gonna
yeah,
enjoy it 20 years when it comes back into style. And there's no harm in getting something that's a bit out there or something that
yeah.
is hot, like a hot style trend. Maybe not a fad, like the
Yeah.
turquoise style. I think is a fad. But a stainless steel integrated bracelet sports watch, I think, is a trend and not a fad.
Mhm.
What your thoughts?
So I'm with Russ here
Yeah.
for an extent. So I think you can find a timeless watch that suits you, right? And what I mean by that, if you notice a trend in your collecting, like if you're into dive watches, finding something timeless might be a good idea. Where you can get in trouble is if you load up your collection with too many timeless pieces, I feel,
Mm,
right? Because then they all kind of just look alike because you like dive watches and
right.
you like for me like the Submariner. So like what am I getting, a Squale, or that looks like a or like an Invicta 1953 or 18 whatever, you know what I mean? So the danger of getting all the same looking watches
Mm,
because you're into a timeless look could be problematic. I don't have, and like I said, I don't have a problem if you get like one timeless piece, right?
yeah.
Um, and then work your collection like kind of like around it, and get some funky little piece here and there, or something that you would never get, and surprise yourself by the fact that it's totally different from your taste and
Mm,
may not be timeless, but you love it. You know what I
yeah.
mean? So yeah, so I'm with him to a certain extent
Okay.
with
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. 5 was enjoy the chase. So
Mhm.
take your time kind of piece of advice, but basically the most fun he usually has is learning about the watch, researching, um, and the joy of doing that is by the time you get the watch, it feels like you really know that watch already before you even open the box. So that's his argument for you know enjoying the
Yeah.
chase of the watch, and
Yeah.
not just buying everything you see,
Yeah.
which I think is wise advice as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
research the
Yeah.
watch.
I'm with that too.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
with that one. I think so this is very subjective list, right? This is what Russell's collecting where he's arrived at. And I think for me, um a couple of things, um a big mistake that I seem to have made a lot is selling a watch too soon.
Yeah.
uh Meaning that I find something else and I need to sell some pieces that I like because I bought them, in order to buy that other piece that I really really want, or so I think, right?
Mm,
And so getting rid of some of these watches that are too soon, and look at some of them, I've bought them back, right? You know what I mean? Because that happened. I just I just sold them too soon. And I think for me, that's when I make that decision in my head, it's usually curtains for that watch,
Mm.
and and I don't move from that, right? I don't like pause and just like sit on it for a couple weeks and then make sure like I really want to get rid of it. So I think for me, that is one of the big mistakes here. I mean, most of these I agree with Russ, to a certain extent, but for me lately, that's the one that's really blaring. How about you? Have you honed in on something that is, you know, you make a mistake and you realize it but you do it over and over again? Have you honed
Yeah,
into
yeah.
that? Yeah.
What you just said is a big one for me actually,
Yeah.
because um, yeah, how many times have I bought the Tudor Royale, right? It's it's a recurring problem in my collection. So now
Yeah.
I purpose to keep that Tudor Royale, right? The one that I have right now, I'm not. Oh man, I don't want to say anything final, but I really don't want. I want to have a Tudor Royale in my collection. I want to be known as that idiot with the Tudor Royale. So, um, yeah, it's something that's a problem for me. I've rebought the Planet Ocean, rebought the Black Bay 58.
Yeah.
So it is something I do. I once I dissociate in my mind
Mhm.
um, a watch from my collection, chances are good that I want
Yeah.
it out of here as soon as possible. It's
Yeah.
not. I'm not mature, like maybe emotionally mature enough
Mm.
to take a step back, and think about it. But
Yeah.
I'm getting there.
Yeah. No, no. Hey, look, look, I'm like probably like 18 years older than you, 20 years older, and I'm still struggling with that. So, good luck
Yeah,
with getting there. let's
yeah,
uh, let's see what the chat says here.
yeah.
Big risk. I have three green watches on my short list. Hans, Woolsdorf. My dress watch is the Seiko Tanko, which is still on my watch tour on a watch tour, but coming home soon. Dib is saying just buy Rolex. Why bother with anything else? Um, Buy whatever you like. And we heard Russell say that a couple of times in
Mhm.
that video, right?
Yes.
Dib is trying to start a fight. I'm waiting for acid wash jeans to come back. Kevin says gonna be big once again.
Trust me, it'll come back.
Kevin,
It's
yeah,
it's
yeah,
coming
and
back.
don't forget, Kevin. Please also get the jean jacket, acid wash jean jacket too, to
Oh
go with
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Peter saying, isn't buying what you like and buying timeless two totally different things?
Oh,
Could be, sure, sure,
yeah.
but maybe I think highly of myself, and I think that everything what I like is timeless. For for expensive watches go timeless, cheaper watches you can play with. Um, I am right though, Dip says. Everyone wants one, yet they convince themselves they are better off without one. But when they get the call, they cry like a lamb. Um, okay. Find the cross section of where you want what meets what you think you need. You obviously don't need any watches. Um, James, he's mostly a dress watch guy. Um,
Me too.
uh, that's right. Yeah, you are. Dib, I can still smell the cheap cologne you were gifted here in Vegas. Oh man. Um, the cologne into the cologne. But timeless is defined by other people. So if taste changes, what is timeless? Does your taste change? It's an interesting thought. I'm definitely very influenced by what people think at times. For sure. Joey's like, no, I think timeless is another word for conservative. Some designs pass the test of time. Very true.
That was my understanding of the word timeless as well. Like a simple three-hander,
Hmm.
nothing crazy going on the dial. Like
Yeah,
a
like an explorer or something like that, right?
yeah, or a Crador H2,
Hmm.
or Grand Seiko, anything.
Whatever classic you think is that. Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
All
Yeah,
right.
couple more,
Yeah.
but we can
Oh, come on.
probably
Yeah, for sure.
skip.
I'm sorry.
Um, the sixth one was a funny one. He talked about the Rangemaster. I
Mm,
have written here,
mm,
Rangemaster, yuck.
mm.
he showed he showed the watch. It was so oh man, it's so ugly.
Mm,
I'll stop. But I yeah. So he's saying he's worn this watch so much over the past year that it's
yeah,
become a part of him, right? And it's
yeah.
greater than the sum of its parts. So the point was that he says buy watches to wear, not just to sell, or flip on the in the secondary market. And man, he could have used any other example. He's got some really nice watches, and Rangemaster was the one he went with.
Yeah, I'm tired of I'm tired of beating up Long Island Watch. You know what I mean? That's I'm gonna
Yeah,
sit this one
okay.
down. You
Yeah,
know?
you leave that with me for this stream.
Yeah,
So
yeah. You can.
I'm
Yeah.
not beating up Long Island Watch. Someone else designed it, some famous YouTuber. This is just some guy.
Uh,
But yeah, I think that was the last one. So ended on a high with that Rangemaster.
okay. Joey's saying all the icons are timeless. Sub Speedy Reverso Tank Nav Timer. Um. Yeah. Yeah. Those are
Oh,
great
okay,
watches.
that's true. So that kind of defeats my argument for timeless, like plain Jane. Speedmaster definitely isn't
Yeah. I
plain
mean.
Jane.
I mean. Yeah. I mean. So, I think. I think. I think icons though. May not and timeless don't need to be the same though, you know what I mean? Like I think icons are just very iconic pieces, distinguishable pieces by a brand.
Hmm.
Doesn't mean that it's a timeless look, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Well, for me,
Right. Right.
that's the way I'm looking at it, right?
Yeah.
um but it could, I'm just saying that I don't I don't believe that they have to go hand in hand
Yeah.
100% of the time.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm still in my
oh
formative stages, so I take everyone's opinions, and I'm slowly making the foundations, like on
yeah.
my philosophy.
Mm.
So yeah,
Well,
I love hearing
don't
of
yeah, yeah. I mean, don't give me too much credit. I mean, I just made that up just now. So,
it. It makes sense. It makes
yeah,
sense. So
sounded pretty good, right?
yeah, it sounded
Uh,
great.
uh,
It
Joy
comes
saying,
it comes from somewhere, right?
yeah, it
Like
comes
it's
from
a
somewhere. You're
deep
right.
rooted seed of wisdom that you have. And
Yeah. Icons are just a piece of the timeless pie. A lot of Casios are iconic, but they are of a very specific time. Um, okay. Um, let's move on to the next video. This is a kind of this is one that we kind of threw in there, right? Sanjay, Britt
yeah,
Pearce, the most overpriced watches, Omega Seamaster Cartier, and she goes to her reasoning on this. Do you have any notes on this, or do you want
yeah,
to just like free just freely talk about it?
yeah. My notes are mostly just the watch list that she went through. She listed 7 watches. All her reasonings were very down to earth. I
Yeah.
feel like Brit has changed a lot. I don't watch her too often,
Mm.
but I really enjoy watching her videos now. Like
I
after seeing this one, I've been actually binging some
Yeah.
of her videos.
I
Uh,
I'm with you. Like, I initially liked her because I thought she was just goofy and funny, and then it got to a point where it just was like really empty kind of discussion for me for a while. With her,
mm,
it was just like okay, and then I tuned out, and now I'm with you. I'm starting to enjoy her change in her person. Well, I mean, maybe this was her personality always, but I mean, just
yeah,
like she's still funny,
yeah,
but she sounds like she's got more of a point, right? So,
right.
and I like about that. So go ahead, Sanjay. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and she's not openly drinking on camera. So
Yeah, 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 yeah. That too, right? That too.
that was my original thought. Was I was a little uncomfortable when I first watched Gringa, but now
Mhm.
she's I don't mean to use the word sober because
Yeah,
she
yeah,
wasn't drunk before, but like actual sober, like in terms of her the videos that she puts out, they're very
yeah.
um very useful.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
There's definitely some maturity that has gone here, maturation that has gone in the last year or so from her. But go on.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry. So, I think I almost agreed with everyone
Mm,
that she mentioned, because so she talked about the reverso. Um, I had no idea the prices jumped up 44% in 2023. Rest in peace, my desire for a reverso.
yeah.
um, but that was one. The IWC Ingenieur was one. Completely agree with, even her assessment of saying it would be worth maybe around 7,000, like at $7,000 we can talk. But at, or was it 7,000 pounds? I think
Pounds,
7,000 pounds.
pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At that price we can talk, but at 11,000,
Hmm.
yeah, maybe not so much.
Right.
uh, Omega No Time to Die was the next one. Very, very makes a lot of sense. Every point she made was true. You don't really get too much. Again, 7,000 pounds was like the sweet spot for that one. Cartier Santos Dumont was the next one. Small. Oh, it's such a gorgeous watch. It's
Mm,
um, but yeah, quartz Cartier Santos with rose gold bezel at 5,000 pound was a little egregious. She was saying AP Royal Oak was probably the most obvious one of the bunch, 24 something thousand. Um, yeah, and then Zenith Chronomaster, sorry, Revival, Zenith A38 something, Shadow, Zenith Shadow,
hmm.
let's say.
Hmm.
That one, I disagree with that one. I think that one's worth every penny.
Mm,
So that one's at 7,000 pounds, I think. I think around 12,000 Canadian, because I got pretty close to buying that one too. And secondary markets are not too far off that price point,
hmm.
meaning, if you buy used, you're only saving
Yeah.
not too, like, what, 10%.
Right.
So yeah, not too far off, and I think that's worth every penny.
Mm,
Um, and lastly was the Moonswatch, which I completely agree with. It's getting a little old. It is a bit of fun, but a very expensive for a bit of plastic with a cheap quartz movement. So those were watches.
mm.
Your thoughts on any of those?
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much agreed with every watch. I mean, like, look, again, very subjective
Yeah.
kind of topic, which makes a great topic to discuss. I the Ingeneur is a head scratcher, right? I mean, like the pricing that they're asking for the new Ingeneur, and look, I haven't held one in hand, right? I haven't
Mhm.
held one in hand, but a few people I know have, and they've come away very impressed with the watch. Still, not as impressed to be like, okay, yes, we'll pay like whatever 12 or 14,000, whatever it is in USD
Yeah.
for it. Um, like at the end of the video, she does some like some general like conclusion and reasoning behind it, and like she's said that she's paid overpaid for like almost all her watches, and but she enjoys them. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like she gets enjoyment out of it. And look, I've overpaid. I'm sure I've overpaid for some pieces. But I've enjoyed every single one of them, and for me that there's some equity in that joy, right? So if I overpaid a watch, $500 or $1,000, but I enjoyed it for like 6 months, I mean, like,
Mhm.
and whatever I sell for, forget about that. But to me, it's kind of it's okay. It's totally fine. I expect to overpay for some pieces. I
Mhm.
expect that when I have to unfortunately move on for some pieces to lose money on them. Like that's the contract we sign as watch enthusiasts who think of themselves as collectors, who are really not collectors, who would just like to rotate watches in and out for some reason and without any kind of direction.
Sounds like an enthusiast to me.
Yeah,
Not a collector, but an enthusiast.
yeah. I'm total enthusiast.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, wh- wh- what do you think? I mean, like, I mean, like you've had to have overpay for some watches, right? I mean, like
Oh, yeah.
does
Yeah.
you
Um,
enjoy them, right? And I don't think about I don't think about the times that I overpaid for them. I
right.
don't think
It's
about them.
it's just, the tax you pay. I think, what does Clayton call it? Flipper's tax?
Mm.
Yeah, you enjoy the watch for some time. You're gonna lose some money when you move it on, and yeah, enjoy the ride. It's just the
Yeah.
cost of doing,
Yeah.
cost of enjoying the hobby, I guess.
Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely.
but yeah, buying smart, I think, is the way to go. And she did
Sure.
look at pre-owned prices on most of those
Mhm.
recommendations, or most of those watches, I think.
Yeah.
Like the Reverso, you can still find at the previous price, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
44% markup. So
Yeah.
it's a good place to buy that Reverso rather than going to the AD now.
Absolutely.
Um, I'm sure it'll catch up at some point,
Yeah.
maybe 5-10 years, but
Yeah.
um, yeah,
Yeah. Look, if you don't have any hangups about buying pre-owned, it's definitely in most cases, like over 90% of the cases, I think, um, it's better to do that. I mean, I think it is anyway, because have the original purchaser take the initial hit, and if you're getting a piece that's in very very good condition for X amount off of what it would have been an MSRP, to me, it's a win. Now, some watches, I think you want. I mean, I think I want new, right?
yeah,
If I get another Rolex one day, like I want to buy that. Well, obviously, I want to buy that MSRP because secondary is going to be higher. But I mean, I like that experience of going to the AD
yeah.
and picking up a Rolex.
Having your
Um,
name on the card.
having your name on the card or not. I don't think it's even you don't have your name in the card anymore. But anyway, but just the overall experience for it. But buying pre-owned is which was a hang up that I had for a while. I wouldn't do it, but now I'm way more comfortable doing it. It is obviously the way to go if you're worried about overpaying for
Hmm.
pieces. Kevin S says, does anyone appreciate the irony of defining watches as timeless? Very good, Kevin.
Yeah.
Um, Ocean does, Kevin. The recent JLC price increase is crazy for sure. What's more timeless than a live stream in Venice, Italy, in the rain? It is. It is very timeless. Very, very epic scenery for Ocean's live streams. I think Aquaterra is more overpriced than the Seamaster. Okay. Um, I think the Seamaster is such a great watch,
Hmm.
um, and you can get such great bargains on the pre-owned because they just make so many of them. But it's such a great dive watch. One watch definitely buy in secondary.
Yeah.
Pete saying hated drunk Gringa, really enjoy it. Sober Brit. I think that's well said. I think that's probably
Hmm.
as well said as you can get, Pete. Thanks for sure on that topic. Um, okay, there's some savory, salacious comments here. Um, but Chris is saying love the new engineer, but still have same thoughts as Brit, overpriced. 67K I could see, but 14K, no thanks. Um, is Bobby breaking into the Al Pacino Godfather 3 speech? Which one? Which one? I didn't even realize I was doing it. Um, they were saying I enjoy the feeling of superiority when I buy Rolex. At the please buy Omega and Grand Seiko. You guys overthink the watch hobby. How dare you, underachieving watch collector? How dare you just buy what you like and be an underachiever like me? How dare you say that we overthink the watch hobby? Shame on you.
I'm gonna put that in my journal.
Legs guarding the 5 hole, totally guarding it. Totally guarding it.
What does that mean?
It's a life. I basically Chaz is saying that I'm not reading the salacious comments
Oh, I see.
because I'm just trying to keep it clean or don't want to offend too many people or
Yeah,
etc.
yeah,
Yeah, this that's right. This is the life we've chosen, Kevin. That's the one. Yeah, for sure. Anyway, hey, Sanchi, we made it. I mean, we missed Clayton,
yeah,
but we made it. Whew. I feel like we did it. I was a little low energy tonight. I
yeah.
gotta.
No, no, I didn't seem that way.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
thanks, buddy.
It's a
Yeah,
blast chatting with you always.
yeah, absolutely. Hey, what do you got going on in the channel next week or so? Are you finally done reviewing all of Marcus's collection? It feels like you have so many of Marcus's pieces, which great reviews, by the way.
Oh,
Awesome,
thank you.
awesome stuff, man. Lately, awesome stuff.
I appreciate that. I feel like I'm spread a bit thin,
Yeah.
um, in the sense of I wish I could just spend more time with Marcus's collection and have like a a
Yeah.
solid um, month-long time with it. But I mean, at the same time, I don't want to keep those watches. Like the sooner I get them back to him, the better,
Yeah. Yeah.
because
Yeah. Yeah.
they're pricey. But
Yeah.
yeah, I have Marcus's Cartier Santos two-tone, so I'm really enjoying wearing that.
Ooh.
I'm getting bullied by my wife because she doesn't like two-tone and yellow gold. So
Mm.
I'm getting the snickers and the giggles as I walk past wearing it in the
Yeah.
evenings. But yeah, it's all good fun. Yeah, that video will probably come out in about a week and a half. The next video due out is my SBGN 029 video, um, which doesn't mean it's leaving the collection, but
Right.
the
Right.
9F GMT is up next. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Kevin, last comment of the evening. Easy to get through at the hour with 25 minutes of variable interest rate talk. We do it
That was
just for you.
interesting.
It was interesting. It was
I could talk
interesting.
for hours about that.
Yeah.
Just
And
fresh
maybe we will
in my
one
mind.
day.
Yeah.
Maybe, we can we can have a little sideshow
Yeah.
talking finances with
Yeah.
Sanjay and Bobby. Oh, that'd be so many disclaimers about we're
Yeah.
not professionals.
Not
Don't
financial
take our
advice.
advice. Yeah, no, this doesn't constitute anything.
Build
Um,
wealth, build wealth with legs and
yeah,
J. Legs and J.
we should just do streams giving the worst advice.
I
You
think
know,
Instagram already does that. So
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, buddy, thank you so much for doing this with me this evening. It's always a pleasure. Chat, you did great as usual. Um, and hey, I will see you guys on Tuesday
Yeah.
for another stream Tuesday Night Watch Talk. And Sanjay, Clayton, and I will be back hopefully next Sunday for episode 15 of Watch Soup. Everyone, have a good night. Have the great rest of the weekend. Good start of next week, and take care.
Good night.